Hey guys, JH fiddling with the camera again. Okay. Just want to talk a little bit today about the short swing. My swing generally is what I call a parallel arm swing, and by parallel I mean that it's usually always parallel with the ground level. It doesn't get above the ground level, it doesn't get below it, it's usually parallel. And of course when the club is starting from here, as I've said before, there's not much can go wrong with the swing because we're not up here. There's not a lot of underplaning going on, there's not a lot of re-establishing of the trail elbow, not a lot of stuff going on. And of course, I'm not an early cocker of the wrists. I don't set the club early in the backswing like that. I take it away with the momentum and the feel of the golf club. The head feels heavy, so it's pulling on my hands. I'm not pulling it up. I'm not unbalancing the shaft or the golf club generally. I'm not trying to pick the club up. I'm just swinging it. And it gets up here, and when it gets to the point of here, where my arm is not going any further and my shoulder's not going to turn anymore, the sheer momentum of the golf club is going to give me some wrist cock or wrist hinge. I mean, I basically run with wrist hinge most of the time. Which is that as opposed to that. That as opposed to that. Guys, there was a player back in the 60s, well actually 1970, he lost the British Open to Jack Nicklaus with that famous missed 4-foot putt. Some say it was shorter. And that was Doug Sanders out of, I think he was born in Georgia, but he spent most of his time in Texas, so most people refer to him as a Texan. And he was a great ball striker, one of the greatest. And Doug Sanders had this type of swing. Very wide stance, push the club back to here. And guys, he swung it flatter than anyone that's ever played the game. No one has swung the club as flat as Doug Sanders. Doug was here. Around here, amazing. Now probably if you look at him from a technical point of view, he's probably the guy that swung closer to being on plane than anyone that's ever played the game. Even Mo Norman was here. Azinger was a little bit below his right shoulder, but Sanders was here. And he was incredibly wide, was this type of swing. Now when you see Doug, if you didn't see Doug at a dress like that, and you saw him here in the downswing, I think he's got the best pre-delivery and post-impact look about his golf swing of anyone I've ever seen. Anyone. I don't think anyone's been in a better position than Doug Sanders. And if you look at that small clip on YouTube, which is Doug Sanders' golf swing, I think it's Santana Golf. Unbelievable. I mean this position here, this is Doug here, that's Doug post-impact. Just amazing. An incredibly wide stance, very short golf swing. Won 20 tournaments on the PGA Tour, guys, with that golf swing. Now that's extraordinary. That's a very rarefied air accomplishment. I mean, Greg Norman only won about 14 tournaments on the US PGA Tour. 14 or 15. Doug won 20. So it was rarefied air. Not many people have won 20 tournaments on the PGA Tour. Now, anybody that knows about the game and knows about ball striking knows that Doug Sanders was a ball striker personified. The great Australian player Norman von Nyder said that he thought that his ball striking in terms of his impact and the way he hit the golf ball was as good as Hogan's, if not better. Now that's an incredible rap, but from someone who was a great ball striker himself. Mo Norman told me Doug Sanders was an amazing ball striker, amazing. Had great regard for him. Lee Trevino does too, and you're talking about one of the greatest ball strikers of all time, and he just said Sanders was peerless as a ball striker. But Doug's swing, guys, was this. This is Doug, very wide stance here, and he took it here. Great shoulder turn. And he didn't turn his hips hardly at all because the big wide stance didn't let him. So he was very flexible in the mid-drift. And of course, what Doug did with the long swing from back here, he just sat into that left knee, pulled the club in here, and then fired it as he turned his hips out of the way. Guys, I want to show you something about plane and the fallacy of being able to swing the club on plane. No one's ever swung the club on plane. And I don't think you can. Sanders got as close as anyone's ever got. If you look at this, now plane is a shaft plane, nothing else. It's a golf club plane. If I set up here, and this is my address plane, if I extrapolate that shaft plane, and I do that, look where the golf club, where the plane is, it runs through here, the bottom of my ribs. No one's ever swung the golf club there. Ever. But that's reality, guys. That's where it is. But we all swing it above our shoulders, or in line with our shoulders, so we're 2 feet above it. So what happens in the golf swing in reality is that we get to here, and even though we don't think we're lifting, as we turn the shoulders, the club lifts up. If you didn't turn your shoulders and you went to there, you could probably get it in here, but you couldn't hit the ball. You have no power. So it's the turning of the shoulders when we get to here, and as the shoulders turn, they elevate the golf club. But Sanders somehow kept his hands down. He forced them down, like I do in my golf swing. I mean, I don't get anywhere near where Sanders got, but that's what I try to do. But what Doug did, Doug actually swung it here. That's where Sanders was, here. And he was an amazing ball striker. One of the great fairway wood players of all time, ever. A great driver of the golf ball. I can nearly won that British Open against Nicklaus, and Nicklaus was like 60, 70 yards longer. Well, Nicklaus drove it through the green on the last day, on the playoff the next day. Drove it through the green. It was 370 odd yards on the 18th at St Andrews. Okay, the fairways were running a bit, but still huge with those old golf clubs. So guys, the whole point here, what I'm talking about, is that if we can actually swing the golf club, try this when next time you go out. Try taking the club back without lifting it at all. Just try and swing it here, and see if you can swing it in here and hit the golf ball. Because technically, you are much closer to being on plane than you would normally be. If you're someone that swings the club like this, I mean, you're 3 or 4 feet closer to the original set plane line. Now, I don't swing it that flat, and I've never tried to swing it around where Doug swings it. And of course, I've no idea how he did it or what he thought about. But he made a great shoulder turn. But he just swung it amazingly flat. I mean, extraordinarily flat. Now, I've never tried to swing it in there, and I better not do it with a 3-iron. But I'll do it with a 5-iron, and I'm actually going to try and swing it like around my ribcage. I probably won't, but I'm going to try and do that. Now, how am I going to do that? I'm going to push down with the butt of my left on my lead hand. I'm going to push it there like that as I go around. And I'm not going to feel that the club's going up at all. Well, that's interesting. See the finish? Finish was here, because it was this type of very rotary type action low hands through the ball. Now what Sanders had, he had the most magnificent post-impact release of the golf club. He was here. The longest arms I've ever seen through the golf ball, just magnificent. Now I don't feel anything like that because I haven't got that golf swing. But that's interesting. That was a really hard draw. I don't hit hard draws. But that was coming from a long way inside, and probably subconsciously I thought, wow, you're too far inside, JH, you've got to do something. And I probably did flip it a bit. But I mean, it was about a 5 or 6 yard draw, and I don't hit a draw. But that felt like it was around my waist, guys. Here. I've got to tell you guys, that's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. I mean, extraordinarily so. And that feels like I'm pushing my hands down below my hip girdle. Lots of pressure in the hands there. And they say that you can't swing it in here because you'll get stuck. Well, I'd like to be as stuck as that every time I hit it. I hate that terminology. He's stuck. Hogan was stuck on every shot he hit. Didn't anybody ever see that or understand that? It's amazing. Don't know who first used the phrase. Actually, I think it was Harmon. But watch this, I'm going to get stuck, guys. So inside. Now, there's two shots that are absolutely perfect. And I mean, well, they're right beside each other. They're just extraordinary. And that feels like my knuckles are dragging on the ground. So how about that, guys? There are different ways to swing a golf club. Absolutely different ways to swing a golf club. I mean, that's just pure flight. Can't hit it better than that. And look at this, guys. No roll over in that golf swing. A little bit Jordan Spieth, a little bit chicken wingy. That's what they call a college-educated chicken wing. And I'd like to chicken wing it like, well, I do actually sometimes. My best shots usually come from when I feel, well, I've hit good shots. I've had a look at the practice sessions, and I've had a little bit of chicken wing. The shots have been perfect. Because you know what the chicken wing does, guys? Keeps the club on line longer. Straightest hitter on the US Tour ever was a guy called Calvin Peete, who had a genetic imperfection in his left elbow, so it was purposely bent. That's how he hit the ball. Club was always on long. He was the straightest hitter, had the driving averages for 10 years or something. Amazingly straight. So nothing wrong with the chicken wing if it's a proper chicken wing. Okay, we're really going to push this right in here. Guys, this is really silly stuff as a feeling. I mean, to think that I can actually, do this, whip the club around my thighs as a feeling and hit it that good. Talking about different ways to skin a cat. And that famous Irish saying, I've no idea what it meant, but one of my race car mechanics was an Irish guy, and he was from Northern Ireland. You couldn't understand him, and he had the amazing saying, you'd make an adjustment to the car and you'd go out and it'd be perfect. And I'd say, what'd you do? He said, I've just done something. And I said, well, what? He said, just a different way to skin a cat other than choking it with a pound of butter. We had no idea what it meant. And he used to just point his finger and said, think about that. And we thought about it for 10 years. We still didn't know what it meant. More ways to skin a cat than choking it with a pound of butter. Irish. He was a good mechanic. Very good mechanic. Bernard Smith, his name was. Bernie Smith. Great guy. I wonder where Bernie is today. Okay, guys, we're going to skin the cat and choke it with a pound of butter. Watch this. This is so crazy. Guys, I promise you, and absolutely no exaggeration, those 3 or 4 balls, 3 yard circle. No, they're not moving. Absolutely not moving. Hit one this way. So watch where the arms go. Tell you what's interesting, guys, you get a lot of pressure down through the ball. Huge amount of pressure down through the ball. I mean, just an amazing amount of pressure down. I get the pressure down going back. This is what I call probably a horizontal windscreen wiper. That's what it feels like. Okay guys, I've got a blinking light on my camera here, which means the battery's going down, but we'll do more on this tomorrow. And I don't know what this is going to be like. I think I'm too close to the camera, I mightn't have a head, I can't see in the monitor there. But this is amazing. Those shots were amazing. Okay guys, we'll do a little bit more on that tomorrow. I have to work out what to call this swing. But they're extraordinary, and I've never done that before. So it works. Okay guys, we'll do some more tomorrow.